Alright everybody, this is the Red Review, episode 3. We'll be talking about Malacia returning back to training, Kobe MAINOO new contract, and all the other big things. Talking about Manchester United, we got some talks on Adeyemi, Goretzka to Manchester United, Angel Gomez, new stadium, Xavi Simons. Kind of talking about the news that's gone on in the last kind of 3 days since we haven't done a news video in a while. So I think it'd be perfect to do another news video. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So let's start off by talking about the new stadium. There's been some interesting developments around the stadium, which we will obviously talk about. So let's get straight into it. So the Old Trafford Task Force is to deliver its recommendation for the future of Manchester United Stadium by the end of December. The task force, which is due to meet again on Thursday, was assembled earlier this year to explore offers for Old Trafford's future, including either redeveloping or existing the structure of building a new stadium entirely. Now, today we've had some developments, or yesterday rather. Manchester United ready to abandon plans to keep Old Trafford if they build a new stadium. They now realise that scaling down Old Trafford to the capacity of around 30,000 to host academy and women's game would be too complex and unlikely to work. So listen, that was obviously the aim. The aim was to kind of break down Old Trafford, reduce the crowd so you can have concerts, women games, academy games. Obviously that isn't going to happen because obviously it doesn't seem like it fits Manchester United's sort of structure in which they want. And they will demolish Old Trafford if they will kind of build a new stadium. Now, it means obviously United, obviously home now for 114 years, will be bulldozed to the ground if they decide against redeveloping a new stadium and will go with their preferred option of creating a new stadium. Now, they revealed plans in the summer to scale down Old Trafford and a capacity of around 30,000 to preserve the history of the club and provide a venue for women and academy teams. But sources have told Mail Sport that they now realise this is unlikely to work, and what is effectively a separate stadium project would be too complex and cost hundreds of millions of pounds. Old Trafford holds huge sentimental value for Manchester United fans around the world, with its Munich clock and tunnel commemorate the 1958 air disaster, as well as the statues of Sir Matt Busby, Sir Alex Ferguson, Jimmy Murphy and the United Trinity of Sir Bobby Charlton, George Best and Dennis Law. So yeah, that's kind of the article. Architects, Foster and Partners are said to be appointed as master planners for the redevelopment of the club owned land around the ground, and will need to find a way of integrating those elements into the design to ensure a brand new stadium isn't soulless. The latest twist in the future of Old Trafford comes as United prepare to email a survey to season ticket holders and air their opinions on Friday. So listen, for me, Old Trafford is a historic stadium with a lot of history. It's such a great stadium to visit, and one of my favourite stadiums, or is my favourite stadium in the world, obviously being a United fan now. World-renowned global architect studio Forster Plus Partners is set to be appointed as Manchester United to develop a master plan to create Old Trafford district covering the club-owned land that surrounds the existing stadium. Now, United obviously have got, the focus will be designed to build a world-class destination and a home for Manchester United fans, coupled with a wider master plan becoming compromising mixed-use developments which will benefit the local community, attract new residents, increase job provision to make a vibrant destinations for visitors from Manchester and the UK all around the world. The exercise will include substantial engagement with fans, community members, local authorities, the Old Trafford Regeneration Task Force, whose feedback and insight to incorporate in the master plan design. So listen, I honestly can't wait for a new stadium if that's kind of what the plan is for them to do. Obviously, Sir Jim Radcliffe is adamant to get a new stadium, and I can see why. Old Trafford is honestly one of the best stadiums and should have everything best in class now. Obviously, it's kind of been left to rot by the Glazers of the last few years, and we can see that it was leaking. No screens, like it's not modernised. Ultimately, it seems like the way to go now will be a new stadium, and that's ultimately something I can get on board with. I think many Manchester United fans, kind of older than me, will probably have a thing to say about it. I mean, listen, I would love Old Trafford to stay there. It's got a lot of history and a lot of kind of promise, and it's a sentimental thing, as that article said. It's a place where many people go, and if you walk by, it's absolutely fantastic. Now, for me, I think the idea of a 30,000 stadium would still keep Old Trafford there, and a new stadium would be ideal. Something that kind of other clubs I think do have. I think that would be the best thing and the best option for us now. I don't think Manchester United will, obviously, as the articles report, go ahead with it, which would be a massive disappointment. But that's what I would ultimately and personally love to do. I think Old Trafford's a stadium where many people go. We have fans globally who spend thousands of millions of pounds to kind of go and watch Manchester United. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go there. And as I said, it seems like Barada, Ashworth, all of these players, Sergeant Radcliffe, are all eager to build a new stadium, and they kind of want their own identity, which is kind of understandable. And I can see why they would love a new stadium. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the new stadium. I think, listen, maybe a world-class refurbishment could be cheaper, but as I said, Sir Jim is adamant developing a new stadium. Let me know your thoughts. Subscribe. And we're going to be moving on to the next topic. So, it's coming in from Fabrizio Romano that Manchester United want to give Kobbie Mainoo a new contract. Now, obviously, this is the second part of the show. This probably will be a clip as well. I want to talk about Mainoo's contract. Listen, he's a player who's not on kind of the lot of money. He's on around 20k per week, reportedly. I'll get that confirmed. But listen, for me, a new contract will obviously be massively beneficial. He's had a new 4-year deal last February, but the club are reportedly excited and keen to extend his deal. So, listen, he's got 3 years left on his deal. The 19-year-old is one of the best players I've seen in a while at Manchester United, and I think he does deserve that new contract. I think it'd be so well deserved. A player who's obviously gone through leaps and bounds, coming through the academy, one of our most consistent players who played the most games for us last season. I think it'd be very, very deserved, and I don't think many Manchester United fans will complain if Mainoo does get a new contract, if I'm honest with you. Now, if you look at his wages, he's right at the bottom. He's on £20,000 a week, but if you compare that to kind of Garnacho, who's obviously another academy player, he's on 50k a week, so it ain't much difference. I think a new contract will probably be like new structures, new clauses in his contract. As I said, Kobbie Mainoo's contract ends June 30th, 2027, so he still has got 3 years left on it. For me, I can only see this as a positive. You keep him down to the club, you offer him new incentives, new kind of promises, and I think he will. He loves to stay at Manchester United, and I'm sure he'd be adamant to kind of sign it. He's one of that players who you look at for the next 10 years who could be at Manchester United. And yeah, he's absolutely fantastic. For me, this is honestly perfect, and yeah, that's really it. I think Manchester United haven't given too many players new contract. I think, listen, he has got 3 years, but I don't think in 3 years Kobbie Mainoo will be one of those players that we want to sell. I just don't think it would make sense for us to do that. And yeah, it wouldn't really make much sense to do that. So he certainly is a long player for the future. I'm not saying put him on a ridiculous contract like they've done at Chelsea. I mean, they've given most of their team 9-year contracts, or something silly like that. Like, that doesn't make sense at all and isn't logical. As much as we would love Kobbie Mainoo to stay at Manchester United for 9 years, I don't think that's something that we should be doing. So I think maybe another 2-3 year deal, take him up to 2029. That's 5 years from now. Maybe an improved wage, some more bonuses, and I'm sure he'd be happy with that. So that's kind of it on that. I think Mainoo getting a new contract, there's only positives to say about him and that sort of idea. Mainoo's been a player who is, for me, one of our best players this last year, and I think he will be one definitely for the future to look at. You look at how much he's already impressed in the little time that he's got in a United career. It's really, really special and it's unique. So yeah, really, really happy with Mainoo coming into the football club, and he's done so much in the time that he's been there. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Kobbie Mainoo situation. I'll probably move on now, maybe talk Musiala and some other stories as well. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Kobbie Mainoo situation. Does Mainoo deserve a new contract, and should Manchester United go out and give one, or should they just wait another couple of years till it actually needs renewing, and we are at the risk of losing him. I think for me, give him that contract. He deserves it. Another 2-3 years, like we've kind of done with Bruno. Kind of see what happens, because in 3 years he'll be only 22, 23. So he's definitely a player that's not going to go anywhere, and will have a big career at Manchester United. I am sure of that. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Hope you did enjoy this segment. I'm going to move on, as I said, talking about a Musiala story from Mirror Football. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and peace. Right there, Musiala to Manchester United. Let's talk about it. It's a bit of an outrageous story, but a story that has been reported by various outlets over the last couple of days about Manchester United. So I'm going to read you out the kind of main headline, and then I'll get into the actual article. So it read, Bayern Munich are having difficulties convincing Jamal Musiala to renew his contract with the club, which could spark interest from the German international for Manchester City, Liverpool and Manchester United. So listen, I don't know when his contract runs out. I think it is 2025. So listen, maybe Manchester United will go ahead and pursue a deal to sign Musiala. I think he definitely is a player that I would love. He's one of the best top young talents in world football at this current moment. He's impressing so much at Bayern Munich. And obviously let me get into the nitty gritty of the news. So Bayern Munich director Max Eberl has admitted to the club of finding it difficult to have contract talks with Jamal Musiala, as rumours he could be approached by another club. Musiala obviously has a great form. He's 21. He's in the contract until June 2026, but he's using his red hot form to try and negotiate improved terms. Now, this just could be him using Manchester United's bait to get a new contract. We've seen it before with other players. But next summer, you'd be able to get him for maybe £40-50 million, because he would have a year left on his contract. I think this is the deal. Manchester United just keep an eye on. Obviously, they will be in a position next season where they have to do something around his contract. Otherwise, they lose him. They would be taking that risk to lose him as a free or for relatively cheap and kind of well below what he's worth. And that's something that I don't think Bayern Munich are willing to let happen, because Musiala is one of the most talented and one of the best, probably. He's up there with Jude Bellingham, both of the best young players. I think for me, he's a very talented prospect. He has interest from Real Madrid, Man City and Manchester United, among others. There has been reports that Musiala's representatives was demanding £300,000 a week wages. That would put him in the same bracket as, obviously, their main striker, Harry Kane. So, listen, the wages situation now is a big thing. Yeah, the price, the kind of wage is a bit extreme. I think Manchester United had a cap of reportedly £200,000. So whether they'd be willing to kind of risk it and go down to that sort of money will be very interesting. I think you look at what Manchester United have done previously in other years. We would kind of break the wage structure for certain players. And I don't know if Musiala would be one of them. I think Musiala is definitely a fantastic player. And he's one of the best in his position. A young footballer with a lot of talent. As I said, the price, it won't be this summer it happens, or next summer rather. It would be next summer actually, because it'd be 2025 summer. He'd have a year left on his deal. You can negotiate in 2026 January to get him in on a free, kind of like what Real Madrid did with Kylian Mbappe. It will be interesting. Just keep an eye on it, because yeah, just keep an eye on it, because I'll be interested to see what happens. Everyone knows my thoughts on Jude Bellingham. A fantastic player, and sorry, not Jude Bellingham, Jamal Musiala, and a player for me that I would love to kind of have at United. He's one of those, you kind of replace him with Bruno Fernandes. Another player like him is obviously Florian Wirtz, another young German player who's obviously at the top of his game at this moment. It would be absolutely brilliant to see him join United. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you have Musiala at Manchester United? I don't think there'd be many people that wouldn't. I think, yes, he's demanding a lot of money, but with money comes that top quality, and many people would say Musiala is probably worth that 300k a week. He's a superstar signing, someone who will massively impact the team And he is that number 10 that you would love. He can carry the ball, he can play multiple positions. I think he's a gifted player. He's got that close ball control. He's a very different player to Bruno Fernandes. Now, obviously, people can have the argument there's players from the academy coming through who, I'm not saying a like Musiala, but that pathway for the first team may be blocked if we bring in someone like Musiala in that position. But let me know your thoughts. I'm going to move on now, talking about Goretzka and kind of that latest news on that, and we've got some few other stories before we wrap it up. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. For me, just to quickly summarise, Musiala, who wouldn't take him at this club? I mean, any football club would take Musiala. He is that good. He's a difference maker, a quality player, and someone I would love to see at United in the future. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'm going to move on now, talking about Leon Goretzka and what that could mean for Manchester United, so stay tuned. Right, the next topic, Manchester United sent Goretzka message, Goretzka interested in Manchester United now. United have been linked with other midfielders, including Bayern Munich's Leon Goretzka. 29-year-old has played little more than 10 minutes for the Bavarians so far this season, having been left out of the squad for their last weekend game. However, Bayern Munich manager has attempted to call the subsequent speculation and those linked for Manchester United. He said, he's important for us and will continue to be. Listen, it's not only come from, it's come from 3-4 outlets. It's come from Manchester Evening News. It's come from Mirror Football, Manchester United and West Ham monitoring Leon Goretzka's situation. The German midfielder is upset about his lack of minutes in the Vincent Company and was left out of their squad in their last game. Like, it's not just that. It's not just us. I think it was, let me just find it, so I'm giving you the correct news. Yeah, Christian Falk as well talked about it. So it's not just kind of 1-2 outlets talking about it. Listen, for me, Goretzka, Old Trafford linked Leon Goretzka is understood to be committed to turn his career in Munich around. However, the well-marked conspired to see him pushed out of the club in January transfer window. He's obviously, the Red Devils have held a prior interest in obviously the 29-year-old. So it will be interesting to see what happens. I think, listen, we need a sort of player like that. But as I've said to Rabiot, with Rabiot, he's just too old and he doesn't suit the profile. He's got a contract until June 2026. And listen, that would be a huge risk to sign him because the injuries and all this sort of stuff would not benefit us at all. So yeah, I don't think that would be kind of anything too special, but I think Goretzka is certainly one to look out for, and I think he will add a lot of quality and depth to the team, but I think he is too old and would be a huge risk. He'd be on a lot of money, and yeah, ultimately he wouldn't be beneficial to United. We're looking for long-term signings. You look at MAINOO, he's a player, obviously he's not a signing, but someone for the future. Lenny Euro, 18, Ugarte, 23, Delit, 25, Xerxes, 23, like all these young players. So let me know your thoughts on that. Going to move on now, talking about Karim Adeyemi. So Manchester United leading Liverpool in the race to sign Karim Adeyemi, reports team talk. Now, Manchester United have confirmed interest in signing Karim Adeyemi as Dortmund man looks to take his career to the next level. Now, I think Karim Adeyemi, another Bundesliga player that we've been linked to with Musiala and Goretzka now. While he's become one of the first names of obviously their team sheet, Adeyemi has already been touted for a blockbuster move in 2025 with 3 Premier League clubs considering their next move. To that end, Fahazia's reports with his future described as increasingly uncertain, and with Dortmund away will be difficult to prevent big money transfer going through. Premier League heavyweights Newcastle, Liverpool and Manchester United also to be considering approaches to sign the 64-goal winger. The report claims that all 3 sides are willing to fight for Adeyemi's signature, with the 4-time capped Germany international also open to the ability of moving to the Premier League to further his career. And while no price is put on that potential deal with cost, Team Talk can confirm that the player is indeed among a number of targets under surveillance by the ambitious Boeing director Dan Ashworth as he plots his next phase of the bid to upgrade the Red Devil squad. Interest from Newcastle can also be described as genuine, while Liverpool have also been historically mentioned as soon as it's understood he is not currently on their list of prospective targets now. Around £42 million would be enough. around that would kind of be sufficient for Adeyemi. Obviously, he's got a contract until June 2027. And listen, for me, I would love Adeyemi at the club. I mean, there's not many players I wouldn't like at the club who we've been linked to. I mean, we do have very good scouting departments who are very, very sound. I would kind of love for that to be at our football club. And I think Adeyemi's a young player. He's a versatile player who can definitely add quality to this United team. So, listen, let me know your thoughts on Adeyemi. Would you bring him to Manchester United? Personally, for me, I would. I mean, there's not many credible outlets, but again, it could be someone to look at in the summer window. I mean, United do need sort of a winger. If you look at Sancho out the card, Anthony out the card, so do think we need to kind of bring in another winger to suffice that role. But yeah, ultimately for me, bring him in. Why not? I mean, he definitely is that winger that we sort of need. He's that fast-paced, energetic winger, very, very quick, add quality to us going forward. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. Now, Xavi Simons. Before the Euros in June, Manchester United called to ask the possibility of a loan deal for Xavi Simons, and if the player was interested in moving to England, but he wanted to stay in Germany and probably try something different next summer. So Xavi Simons, again, reports are now going to make an £84 million ridiculous bid for him. Obviously, that isn't going to happen. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but for me, it would be... Listen, we've signed Bruno for another 2 years. We're linked to Musiala. We're linked to kind of more attacking midfielders. Is this United trying to put out there that they are looking for a number 10 to replace Bruno? Listen, when Bruno's contract ends, and I don't think we do have enough competition for that number 10 role. We've got Eriksen. That's really about it. You're going to have to look at other options, and he is sort of one of them. He's a number 10 who will add depth to this team. He's young, he's 21, he definitely can add prospect to us. But for me, if I had to pick a number 10, it would be Musiala. I think he is the best or worst, and then it would be Simons. So listen, that's another one to kind of keep an eye out for, because it could be something that does materialise next summer. Because there's a player who's looking for different options next summer, and United have reportedly already once tried to get his signature. But yeah, let's see what happens with that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Final few segments now. I'm going to be talking about United could attempt to turn Tyler Dibling's head. United also looking at under 21 talent. Ashraf was aggressive and tried to add into the academy at St James Park. Now, Tyler Dibling is that fantastic Southampton right winger who had probably the best game out of the Southampton players against us. He was absolutely cooking the low in that game. And listen, certainly is a very good player. Obviously, I haven't seen much about him. All I can say is that from that glimpse that I've seen, he's a very, very good player. 21. Obviously, Dan Ashworth was trying to get him into that Newcastle academy. Says everything you need to know. When Dan Ashworth looking at a player, it's very, very serious. So yeah, for me, I wouldn't mind having him at the football club. I think, as I said in the previous part, we've been linked to many wingers, Karim Adeyemi, other options as well. For me, Tyler Dibling would be certainly one I'd go after. But that's really quick on that. And yeah, I'll talk about Angel Gomez and Thuram Malacia returning in the final two segments, and then we leave it there. Right then, I want to discuss Angel Gomez to Manchester United. It's been a reoccurring story of the last kind of couple of weeks, and I just thought I'd talk about it in kind of towards the end of the show. Now, Manchester United, among a host of clubs, exploring the possibility of signing Gomez next summer. The midfield contract that feels set to expire next year, and there's no sign of extension being agreed. Now, that's coming from Give Me Sports. Gomez is a fantastic player. A player who obviously has been at United. And he's just a neat and tidy player. He's a young player. I think he suits that sort of profile that Ineos are looking for. He wouldn't demand too much wages. He's a player who obviously loves the club and has been at the club before. So it wouldn't be too much of a kind of ordeal to sign him. I think, honestly, he's a fantastic quality player with still a lot of potential. I've seen him in those England games. It just wasn't right timing at Manchester United. Now, the second time could be brilliant. I think he's more of an 8, and I think that's the position that suits him. Obviously, Manchester United have got MAINOO in that role. it will be interesting to see what happens with that. Will Manchester United go out and splash money on Angel Gomez? Like, we'll literally just have to wait and see. For me, honestly, wouldn't mind. And listen, a lot of the players I've talked about, I wouldn't mind signing, but that's the honest truth. Most of the players that United are linked to, I'm really on board with signing. There's only some certain players which I wouldn't recommend signing, but ultimately for me, most of the players do seem that they're very, very good appeal, and Angel Gomez is one of them. He's a young player, obviously had time away from Manchester United, has got many connections with the football club, and would probably love to return, and that's kind of the stuff that has been reported. Now, Angel Gomez, I think why not? Will we go and do it though? Is kind of the kind of biggest story behind it. I think for me, why not take the punt? He's a player who's done well, kind of proved himself away in a tough league. Listen, people say the French league is the farmer leagues. It's a decent league, and why not go and kind of say, I'll join Manchester United, take that risk. But ultimately, we'll have to wait and see. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, the last thing I want to quickly discuss is Tyrell Malacia update. Now, Tyrell Malacia now is coming in from lots. It's coming in from the club itself. Now, Manchester United left back Tyrell Malacia stepping up his comeback following his part in the sidelines as he took part in the warm part of Friday's training session at Carrington. He joined in with the Rondos before later continuing with an individual session. So Malacia's return is closing and getting close, but this is brilliant. I think he's a centre back. Sorry, a left back who, for me, is a player with genuinely a lot of potential. Now, we don't know how far he's going to kind of be back into the team with his injury. He has been out for a long, long time. Obviously, a player who proved himself very, very well, and a player who I would love to see have a career at United. He's not someone you can rely on, just the fact that he's had a lot of injuries. So it would be interesting to see what happens. Let me know your thoughts. This has been the 3rd episode of Red Review. I love this sort of video. Now, it's gone up a bit early on a Friday, but it's a bit late, which I can only apologise about. But tomorrow's game day, United against Crystal Palace. We bring you up to date. We might even do a pre-match live show or a pre-match show anyway. Obviously, match reaction, player ratings, 5 things to be learned. And then we move on. We've got another big Europa League game now next week, and the games are coming thick and fast. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. This has been another Red Review, Ep3. If you stayed to the end, you're an absolute legend. Thank you for watching. If you did, enjoy, and peace.